Just recently, I sat down and watched the 2010 film Devil and was surprised just how good the movie was. The movie occurs mostly all in one building, or vicinity, yet the movie has terrific pacing, good acting, and a fun and engaging storyline. The movie's somewhat scary, depending on how easy you scared, but it's really not frightening, and most of the scares happen later in the film. Now, in addition, this movie, it's unpredictable and tense as well, allowing the story to unfold methodically and the viewer to guess what's happening in this movie. Devil is a pretty simple plot. Five individuals, all strangers, get stuck in a Philadelphia high rise. Now, as time progresses, the tension and stress in the elevator builds among the group, eventually leading to violence and death. Inside the elevator, there's five people from all walks of life, really. A salesman, a young woman named Sarah, an old lady, a temp security guard who works in the building named Ben, and a mechanic who is also a Marine named Tony. Now, when the people first get stuck, the situation doesn't seem too serious. They're able to contact building security, maintenance begins working on the problem, and building security can see the people, although they can't hear what they're saying. While I'm generally not a big fan of movies that occur in mostly one setting, Devil is surely an exception to this. For example, the 2002 movie Phone Booth, starring Colin Farrell, I never liked, as it was pretty much centered around, well, just a phone booth the entire movie. Coming back to Devil, the movie soon shifts from being this seemingly small event to being something much more serious. Now, in the film, in the elevator, the lights begin to flicker on and off, and on one of these occasions, one of the security guards watching the elevator, named Ramirez, sees something pop up on the monitor. Now, it looks like a face, and Ramirez, being extremely religious, believe it actually is. He believes it's the devil. Ramirez, he was educated from a young age around how the devil can take human form and wreak havoc. Now, the other security guard, he doesn't see it. He makes the analogy of seeing a Jesus face in a pancake. But this is really the first mention in the film that something supernatural might be at play. If you were coming into this movie and you knew nothing about it, you would probably think that this was some sort of, crime thriller or some sort of revenge movie happening until this scene. Now, as time goes on, the seriousness of the situation in the elevator becomes more evident. It's no easy fix for the maintenance person, and the tension begins to heat up even more. Once again, the power becomes sporadic, and the lights begin going on and off at random, and one individual, the young woman Sarah, she's assaulted when the lights are out, and soon the security guards are forced to call Detective Bowden. Now, Bowden is already in the area investigating a suicide. A man jumped from the building. Bowden arrives and tries to calm the group down and discover really who everyone is, since an assault happened and essentially it's a crime scene now in the elevator. Now, once more, the lights begin flickering on and off, and things would get much worse. The salesman now is murdered, and it's now really a serious crime scene, and the situation is getting out of control. There's general fear in the elevator, and at this point, it's really unclear who the assailant is, because just prior to that, we thought it was the salesman. Now, meanwhile, in the building, the police and security guards are just trying to find out who everybody is in the elevator, and also trying to figure out how to get them out. So earlier in the movie, we saw Ramirez, the security guard, narrate around the devil taking human form. And that's really the big theme here, the big question: who is the individual that is the devil in this movie? Is this person, or the devil, inside the elevator, or actually maybe even outside the elevator? It's really not clear. The next scene we see, the old lady inside the elevator, the lights flicker out, and the old lady is killed and hanged. Well, the first murder happened, it could have been self-defense, but this is clearly someone now with malevolent intent. Something is going on inside that elevator. Around this time, Ramirez tells the detective his theory that this is actually the devil's meeting, and essentially they're not going to be able to stop it, as the devil had came to collect all the souls of the individuals in the elevator. Now, Detective Bowden brushes it off and doesn't believe it. He tells him about his family being killed in a hit and run, and there's reason to suspect at this point the devil here might actually be Bowden somehow. But again, the question is still up in the air. The police are soon able to track down the sign-in list and get some basic info on everyone, and at this point multiple parties are trying to get in the elevator, including the fire department. But once again the lights begin flickering, and Ben, the security guard, is murdered. At this point the police suspect Tony of being the culprit, as the old woman was hanged, and also he never signed in, and also brought tools in which he hid in the bathroom, which seems to suggest that he actually was playing with the elevator and manipulated it. It's not clear at this point why he's doing it, but it seems like the most obvious solution for Detective Bowden and the police. Now, the cops explore a couple other options, such as Tony being hired by the young woman's husband to kill her. The young woman was planning on divorcing and stealing his money. Soon, though, the mechanic's wife arrives and informs the detectives he actually had a job interview today and was concerned about bringing his tools, so that's why he hid them. Based on what his wife says, it doesn't make sense for Tony to be the devil. They realize Tony actually did sign in, and the only person who didn't was the old lady, who actually used a fake name. Now there's just the young woman and the Marine, or Tony, and both believe the other is the murderer at this point. The fire department, they're getting close to getting in, but not quite there. Then we get the big reveal. The lights flicker off, and when they come back on, we see Sarah was killed. Tony is trying to save her, but the whole scene just doesn't make any sense. Then, in the background, the old lady rises up. Her eyes are jet black, and it's clear at this point she's the devil and has orchestrated the whole event. Everyone in the elevator had a checkered past, and she had came to collect their souls. Tony asked her to take his soul rather than Sarah's, but the devil says it just doesn't work that way. She mentions the mechanic's terrible sin and says he'll never confess it, but Tony, who grabs the deceased maintenance worker's walkie-talkie from above, confesses his sin. He had a hit and run several years ago and killed Detective Bowden's family. The devil says, "Damn," as she cannot collect his soul, and she disappears. Then the fire department enter the elevator, and everyone begins frantically searching for the old lady, but to no avail. In the final scene, we see that Detective Bowden forgives Tony as he realizes his sorrow around the event. The movie Devil is a terrific film, and one that's definitely worth checking out. The acting's great, and the storyline too. It's not the type of movie that's going to make you have problems sleeping, but a movie that is unpredictable and tense. I will say, when the old lady, or devil, rises up, I thought that scene was pretty scary, and this is coming from someone that watches quite a number of horror movies. It's not the scariest thing, but it's a little bit. The actress did a terrific job here. Another big shout out to Chris Messina, who plays Detective Bowden. He was fantastic in the movie, and overall, this is a movie that definitely deserves a watch, or possibly a rewatch, as at this point it's 13 or 14 years old, and maybe you saw it when it first came out, and it's worth checking out again. Thanks for watching. Appreciate it.